So I think sometimes we need people to believe in us before we can believe in ourselves. And I think sometimes we need people to love us before we can love ourselves.
Really? Because I've had this talk. This must be something that's in the air right now, because I've had this talk this week a couple of times about self-love, how that we need to learn to love ourselves before we can actually be truly loved. But what we're talking about now is that we're also glorifying our accomplishments as opposed to who we are as a person. So it's like this weird balance. Like, I believe, like, we want that self-worth. We want that recognition for what we're doing so that we can feel worthy as a person. But it's like, what comes first? Do we love and glorify ourselves, or vice versa?
I don't think that any accomplishments like that are ever going to matter unless you love yourself. Period. Like, it's not going to matter. It doesn't matter what kind of achievements that you make unless you love yourself first. None of that matters because it doesn't count.
Yeah.
But I will say that, look, I completely lost love for myself. I hated myself. I wanted to die. The only reason I'm here is because I thought about my daughters and I prayed to God to keep me hanging on. And I'm getting emotional. But my husband loved me enough to where I could start to love myself. My doctor, I hated my leg. I went into my doctor to say, hey, look, I appreciate the 34 surgeries you've done to save my leg, but you need to cut it off because it's giving me too much pain. And this doctor put my leg in his lap. Not on the table where they usually put your leg in the room. He put it on his nice white coat. And he looked at it like it was a masterpiece. And I thought, wow, if he can look at my leg like this, maybe I can learn to love it too. And so the reason I say I don't believe that you have to love yourself in order for others to love you is because I know from what I've experienced that I hated myself. And it took my husband loving me to learn to love myself again. And it took my doctor loving me and my leg and accepting me before I could love myself and accept myself. And so I think sometimes you need people to love you until you can learn to love yourself. I don't think it's the other way around. I think sometimes we all need help. And the key is to not do it alone, to ask for help and to connect and know that you're not alone in your struggle.
In that moment, how did you allow that love to start coming in? Because I will say, if we don't love ourselves, if it's not there to actually embrace the love being given to us.
Well, I will tell you, when that doctor looked at my leg that way and was like, looked at it like it was a masterpiece, I thought, wow, if he looks at it this way, maybe I can learn to look at it that too. Every day, I started to look at it differently. And I'm not saying it was like overnight, all of a sudden, I love myself and I love my leg and I love my life. It was every day a little bit easier and a little more grace. And I'll never forget, I had a friend of mine who was like, so are you going to always wear clothes and boots and stuff to cover up all the scars on your legs? And I was like, oh, hell yeah. I will never show the scars on my leg. And I remember thinking, you know what? I'm going to go to the beach and I'm going to just go to the beach and not wear anything to cover up my leg. And I remember the first thing my husband was like, don't you want to wear your compression sock? And I was like, nope, I'm just going to go to the beach like this. And I had a lady in the elevator who messaged me or she found me on social media, and she said, I saw you in the elevator and you were so kind and you made me feel so welcome. And she said, and then I looked down and I saw your leg and I didn't even realize that you had a leg that was so scarred up. And I just wanted to message you and tell you that your leg is beautiful. And I was like, wow. That she found me on Instagram and she sent me that message that she didn't even think about how my leg was scarred up or any of that she connected with me as a person. And you know what I mean? Yeah.